The sea had been calm that morning. So calm, in fact, that Cale almost didn't believe the storm warnings. The sun burned bright over the endless horizon, and the small research vessel Aurora cut through the turquoise waves like a silver blade. Beside him, Ryan leaned over the railing, squinting into the glittering water, his copper hair whipping in the wind. "Still think we'll find it?" Ryan asked, half teasing, half hopeful. Cale smiled faintly. "The island's real. The coordinates don't lie." They were 17, dreamers, explorers, apprentices to a coastal archaeologist who had spent years chasing legends. This latest legend spoke of an uncharted island that appeared only after storms, a place where ancient ruins shimmered with light, and where those who ventured never returned. That morning, the sky betrayed no danger, but by dusk, the sea had turned black. Chapter 1: The Storm. It began with a hum, a deep, unnatural vibration in the air. The horizon darkened as if swallowed by ink. Lightning forked across the sky, jagged and violent. "Get below deck!" the captain roared. Cale and Ryan stumbled as the ship pitched sideways. Waves taller than houses crashed over the deck, ripping ropes and splintering planks. The storm had come from nowhere, alive, almost sentient in its fury. Ryan grabbed Cale's arm, shouting over the thunder. "The compass, it's spinning!" Cale looked down. The needle whirled uselessly. Then came a blinding flash. The mast shattered. Fire rained from the heavens, and Aurora was torn apart. Cale's last memory before darkness was Ryan's hand slipping from his own, and the sea swallowing everything. Chapter 2: The Shore. When Cale awoke, he was lying on sand. His body ached. His lips were cracked with salt. The storm had vanished. The sky now a haunting pale blue. "Cale!" he croaked. A faint voice answered from behind a cluster of rocks. "Cale!" He turned, staggering toward it. Ryan sat half buried in seaweed, his arms scraped, his eyes wide with disbelief. Both of them were alive. They embraced, shaky laughter breaking through exhaustion. When they finally looked around, their breath caught. The island was unlike anything they'd seen. Lush, green, but wrong. Trees twisted skyward in spirals, their leaves shimmering faintly with color that shifted in the light. Strange monoliths rose from the jungle floor, etched with symbols that pulsed faintly like heartbeats. "This isn't on any map," Ryan whispered. Cale nodded slowly. "We found it." Chapter 3: The Echoing Ruins. They spent the next day exploring, surviving on coconuts and rainwater. Birds sang melodies that sounded like human voices. At night, faint lights glowed deep in the forest, not fire, but something softer, rhythmic, like the island itself was breathing. Near midday, they stumbled into a clearing where ancient stone pillars circled a vast pit. At the center stood a statue, humanoid, weathered, with eyes made of blue crystal. Ryan approached it cautiously. "Looks like a shrine." Cale brushed the moss from its base. Symbols, looping and intricate. As his fingers traced them, the air vibrated faintly. A low hum rose from the pit. Then, a deep metallic clang. "Cale, stop!" Ryan pulled him back, just as the ground trembled. Something massive stirred below. The boys scrambled back as cracks spiderwebbed across the clearing. The statue's eyes flared, and for a heartbeat, Cale saw visions, ships sinking, lightning tearing the sky, figures of light standing at the shore. Then it was gone. Silence. They ran, not stopping until they reached the beach again, breathless. "What was that?" Ryan gasped. Cale stared toward the jungle. I think this island remembers. Chapter 4. The Whispering Caves. For 3 days they searched for food and shelter. They built a crude lean-to from palm branches and fished in the lagoon. But each night the island called to them, whispering in the wind, in the shifting tide. On the 4th night, Cale awoke to a sound, a voice echoing from the cliffs. "Ryan, do you hear that?" They followed it, lantern in hand, up a narrow path to a cave mouth. Inside, the air was cool and heavy. Symbols glowed faintly along the walls, pulsing in time with their heartbeats. Ryan touched one. It flared blue. Instantly, the cave lit up. Thousands of markings swirling to life. Images danced across the walls, storms, shipwrecks, glowing islands. Then a final image, 2 figures standing together at a portal of light. "Cale," Ryan whispered, "it's us." The cave rumbled. Rocks fell from above. They sprinted out just as the entrance collapsed behind them, sealing the mystery forever. Cale looked back, chest heaving. It's like the island wanted to show us something, then stop us. Ryan's eyes flicked toward the sky. Lightning flashed, though no storm had formed. Maybe it's warning us. Chapter 5. The Sea of Lights. Days turned to weeks. The island both provided and tormented. Fruits that vanished by morning, rivers that ran backward, and strange storms that appeared only at sunset. Cale began marking the days on driftwood, though time felt meaningless here. One evening, as they watched the horizon, a field of lights rose from the ocean, thousands of blue orbs floating like lanterns. They moved with purpose, swirling, drawing closer. Ryan stood, transfixed. "They're beautiful." Then one drifted near the shore. Inside it, Cale saw something. A face, human, eyes closed, peaceful. "It's the lost ones," he whispered. "The ones who never made it home." The lights pulsed once and vanished. The sea went still. Chapter 6. The Tempest Heart. The next morning, Cale woke to thunder. A real storm, vast, monstrous, rolled in from the east. Rain shouted over the wind, "We have to get to high ground!" They grabbed what little they had and climbed toward the cliffs, but the storm was faster. Waves smashed against the shore, tearing trees apart. The sky bled white with lightning. Halfway up, Ryan slipped, his hand catching on a root as the cliff crumbled beneath him. "Cale!" he screamed. Cale lunged, grabbing his wrist. Rain blinded him, mud slipping under his feet. Below, the ocean roared, ready to swallow them whole. "Don't let go!" Cale shouted. "I'm slipping!" Cale's muscles burned. He pulled with everything he had, until finally, with a desperate heave, Ryan rolled onto the ledge beside him. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then Cale laughed, half crazed, half relieved. "That's twice I've saved you now." Ryan grinned weakly. "Then don't make it a third." Chapter 7. The Signal. When the storm finally broke, the island glowed. Mist rose from the ground like breath. The monoliths shone brighter than ever, all pointing toward the northern cliffs. Ryan squinted. Maybe it's leading us somewhere. They followed the glowing trail to a plateau overlooking the endless ocean. At its center stood a structure, metallic, ancient, half buried in vines. It resembled a beacon. Cale climbed to its top. Inside, a crystal orb pulsed weakly, as though waiting. "If this thing can signal ships," he murmured. Together they worked for hours, aligning mirrors, clearing vines, channeling the light from the crystals they'd taken from the ruins. Finally, Cale pressed his hand to the orb. It blazed to life. A beam shot into the sky, a column of pure white light piercing the clouds. The island trembled. Rian shouted, "Kale, it's reacting!" The ground split, revealing the ruins below, glowing like veins of fire. The sea churned violently. The boys stumbled back as the light spread outward, rippling across the waves. Then, silence again. The beam flickered once more and faded. Had it worked? They didn't know. Chapter 8. The Return. 2 days later, a sound cut through the still air. An engine. Kale shot up. "Do you hear that?" They ran to the beach. In the distance, a ship, small but real, was cutting toward them. Smoke trailed from its stack. Rian waved frantically, shouting until his voice broke. The ship turned. It was coming. When the rescue crew finally reached shore, the boys collapsed in the sand, laughing and crying all at once. The rescuers stared, stunned by the glowing ruins behind them, the strange stillness of the island. "How long were you here?" one asked. Kale looked at Rian. They both hesitated. "We don't know," Rian said softly. "It felt like forever." As they sailed away, Kale looked back. The island shimmered in the mist, its cliffs fading like smoke. Then, as another wave passed, it was gone. Months later, Kale sat on the harbor docks, notebook in hand. The world called them miracle survivors. Scientists dismissed their story as delirium, but Kale knew what he'd seen. He opened his journal. Sketches of symbols, lights, and the statue's face staring from the page. Ryan walked up, carrying 2 mugs of coffee. "Still trying to prove it?" KL smiled faintly. "Not prove, remember." They sat in silence, watching the horizon, calm, endless, ordinary again. Then, far in the distance, a single flash of blue light glimmered beneath the waves. KL's heart froze. Ryan followed his gaze and whispered, "It's still out there." KL nodded slowly. "And it remembers us too." The end. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the choice to face it when the sea itself turns against you.